Let me tell you something that happened to a neighbor of mine, Jack. Jack is 71 years old, retired, and sharp as a tack. Every morning he would start his day with a banana. He said it helped keep his blood pressure low, gave him energy, and was easy on his stomach. He believed, like most of us do, that bananas are one of the healthiest fruits you can eat. And in many ways, he was right. But one Thursday morning, Jack didn't show up for his usual morning walk. His wife, Carol, found him sitting on the kitchen floor. He wasn't unconscious, but he was confused. Slurred speech, one arm limp. He had suffered a mild stroke. The doctors said it could have been worse, and when they looked deeper, they discovered something surprising. Jack wasn't lacking healthy foods. In fact, he was eating too much of one, bananas. Sounds crazy, right? How could a fruit that's known to protect the heart possibly increase your stroke risk? Well, the truth is, bananas can help prevent strokes, but only if you eat them the right way. And there are 5 deadly mistakes that many people over 60 are making when it comes to bananas. Mistakes that could quietly be putting your health, and even your life, at risk. That's what today's video is about. Not just what bananas do to your body, but the specific ways you might be eating them that can backfire, especially if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, or any history of cardiovascular disease. So, if you eat bananas, or care about someone who does, you need to hear this. And here's something important. The most dangerous mistake is the third one. Most people have no idea they're making it, yet it can completely cancel out the benefits of the fruit and quietly push your stroke risk higher without you even noticing. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do, how to eat bananas the smart way, and how to avoid the traps that even doctors often forget to mention. If you're over 60, you need every bit of protection for your brain and your heart. And one small change, something as simple as how you eat a banana, can mean the difference between staying sharp and mobile, or waking up one day not knowing what just happened. So stay with me, because walking away from this video before the end could mean missing the one thing that protects you from becoming the next Jack. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel now. We share health-saving tips like this every week. Things no one else is telling you, but could change your life. All right, let's start with the first mistake. Mistake 1. Eating bananas on an empty stomach. Jack didn't just eat a banana every morning. He ate it first thing, on an empty stomach, usually with a glass of water, thinking it was light, easy to digest, and good for his gut. But that habit, while seemingly innocent, was slowly setting him up for trouble. You see, bananas are rich in natural sugars, especially fructose and glucose. When you eat one by itself on an empty stomach, those sugars hit your bloodstream like a wave, fast and hard. Now, for someone younger, more metabolically flexible, that might not cause much of a stir. But for people over 60, especially those with borderline blood sugar or hidden insulin resistance, it's like lighting a match near dry leaves. It spikes your blood sugar, and your body has to scramble to bring it down. Over time, that daily stress can wear on your arteries, weaken circulation, and, yes, increase your risk of stroke. But that's not the only issue. Bananas also contain a fair amount of magnesium and potassium, 2 essential minerals. But when taken in large amounts first thing in the morning, they can throw off the delicate balance of electrolytes in your body, especially if your stomach is empty and your hydration is low. That imbalance can affect your heartbeat, your blood pressure, even your mental clarity. In fact, there's a name for this sudden shift: electrolyte shock. It's rare, but in older adults, especially those on medications like diuretics or blood pressure pills, the risk increases. You might feel lightheaded, dizzy, or in some cases, your heart might feel like it skips a beat. Now think about this. Jack was doing everything right in his mind. He wasn't eating donuts or bacon or sugary cereal. He was eating fruit. But timing matters, especially after 60. So what should you do instead? Here's the better way. If you love bananas, and you should, they're full of fiber, potassium, vitamin B6. Then pair them with a small amount of protein or healthy fat. That slows the sugar absorption, stabilizes your blood sugar, and protects your vascular system. Try half a banana with a tablespoon of almond butter, or slice some into Greek yogurt. Even adding a few walnuts can do the trick. And don't eat it first thing. Wait until you've had a light breakfast or a glass of warm water with lemon. Give your digestive system something to work with. This one small change, just shifting when and how you eat your banana, can reduce your blood sugar spike and ease the burden on your heart and brain vessels. Now remember, Jack didn't know any of this, and neither do most people. That's why you're here. You're learning what works and what quietly harms you. And if you found this part helpful, just wait until you hear mistake number 2, because it's even more common and it's hiding in plain sight. Mistake number 2 is something almost everyone does after lunch, and it might be turning your healthy banana snack into a stroke trigger. Let's talk about it. Mistake 2: eating overripe bananas without realizing the risk. A few weeks after Jack's stroke, his wife Carol made a comment that stuck with me. She said, "I thought the riper the banana, the better. The sweeter they got, the healthier they were. So I always made sure Jack ate the ones with the most brown spots." That's something many people believe. Maybe you do too. Bananas with spots seem softer, easier to digest. And yes, they are sweeter. But that sweetness comes with a hidden danger, especially for older adults. You see, as a banana ripens, its starches convert into sugars. A firm, yellow banana contains more resistant starch, good for gut health and slower to digest. But as it ripens, that starch turns into free sugars. Those spotted, mushy bananas? They're practically dessert. Now, let's say you're in your late 60s or early 70s. Maybe you have prediabetes. Maybe your blood sugar is usually a little high, but nothing serious. You eat a soft, overripe banana after lunch, thinking it's a healthy choice. But what's really happening? Your blood sugar spikes, fast. Worse, if you've already had bread, rice, or pasta during the meal, that overripe banana is adding sugar on top of sugar. Your insulin has to go into overdrive. And for someone older, whose insulin sensitivity has already declined, this creates a roller coaster in your bloodstream. That roller coaster damages your arteries over time. It promotes inflammation. It can lead to plaque buildup in the brain's tiny vessels, the very thing that causes many strokes in older adults. And the scary part? You don't feel it happening. You just think you're eating healthy. But this isn't about giving up bananas. It's about choosing the right ones at the right time. Here's what you can do instead. If you prefer sweeter bananas, aim for ones that are just turning ripe. Yellow without too many brown spots. Not green, not brown. Right in the middle. And if you do eat a riper one, make sure you pair it with fiber or protein, just like we talked about in mistake number 1. Even a small sprinkle of cinnamon can help slow sugar absorption. Bananas aren't the enemy. But when they're too ripe, too often, and eaten in the wrong context, they can quietly contribute to the very problems you're trying to avoid. Jack and Carol didn't know that. Most people don't. But you do now. So ask yourself, how ripe is the banana sitting on your kitchen counter right now? And how are you planning to eat it? Because sometimes the difference between food as medicine and food as a risk is just a few brown spots. Coming up next is mistake number 3, and I'll be honest with you, this one is the most dangerous of them all. It's not about how ripe the banana is. It's about what you combine it with. Something nearly every household has, and almost everyone eats alongside their fruit. If you've ever enjoyed bananas with this common item, you might be putting your heart at risk without knowing it. Let's talk about it in just a moment. Mistake 3. Pairing bananas with the wrong foods, especially sugar and dairy. When I went to visit Jack a few days after he came home from the hospital, I noticed something on the kitchen table. A tall glass. It was one of those thick smoothies, yellow, creamy, cold. Carol smiled and said, I made him his favorite, banana milkshake. Just bananas, milk, and a little honey. He's still recovering, so I want to keep him strong. She meant well, but that glass, that innocent-looking drink, it was part of the problem. Here's what most people don't realize. Bananas, when combined with certain foods, especially refined sugar or processed dairy, can become a metabolic disaster. Let me explain. Bananas are already high in natural sugars and fast-digesting carbohydrates. When you blend them with sweetened milk, ice cream, honey, or even store-bought yogurt, you create something called a glycemic bomb. This means your blood sugar rises rapidly, your insulin follows, and for someone over 60, that can mean hours of internal chaos. And if your body is already struggling with inflammation or cholesterol, the results can be harmful. Now here's where it gets worse. Many older adults take medications for blood pressure or blood thinners. When blood sugar fluctuates wildly, it can interfere with how those medications are absorbed. And that's not a minor detail. It's a recipe for blood pressure instability, dizziness, and yes, increased risk of stroke. Now think about this. How many times have you had bananas with cereal, bananas with a glass of sweet milk, bananas in pudding, or as a dessert with whipped cream? These combinations might feel nostalgic, comforting, but inside your body, they're creating inflammation, weight gain, and vascular strain, especially around the heart and brain. So what's the better way? If you want to enjoy bananas safely, pair them with balance in mind. Instead of dairy-heavy, sugar-rich meals, try sliced banana with unsweetened Greek yogurt and a handful of walnuts. Banana on whole grain toast with almond butter. Half a banana blended with kale, chia seeds, and water, not milk or ice cream. These combos slow digestion, reduce the sugar spike, and give your brain and blood vessels a break. Remember, it's not just what you eat, it's what you eat it with. And Jack? Once he made that switch, the difference was dramatic. No more shakes, no more sugary blends, just simple, clean food with intention. So take a second. Think about how you've been eating bananas. Is it with care, or is it with convenience? Because sometimes the danger doesn't come from the food itself, but from the way we combine it. Now, the next mistake, mistake number 4, might surprise you even more. It's something most people assume is healthy, and it all comes down to size. Yes, the size of your banana could be silently working against you. Let me explain in the next section. Mistake 4. Thinking bigger bananas are better. Now, here's something that almost no one questions. The size of the banana. When you walk into a grocery store in the U.S., most bananas are large, bright yellow, full-sized, and often sold in big bunches. And naturally, we think bigger is better. More fruit, more nutrition, more value for the price. But when it comes to bananas and your health, bigger isn't always better. Here's why. Larger bananas typically contain more sugar, more starch, and more calories, especially when fully ripe. One large banana can have over 30 grams of carbohydrates, most of which are fast-digesting sugars. Now, for a younger, active person, that's not a big issue. But for older adults, especially anyone dealing with insulin resistance, high blood pressure, or heart issues, that extra sugar load becomes a serious concern. Even more important, many commercially grown large bananas are heavily modified or treated to grow faster and bigger. That often means more exposure to chemicals, pesticides, and even artificial ripening processes using gas, especially if they're not organic or locally sourced. Jack used to buy the biggest bananas in the store. "I want to get my money's worth," he'd say. One big banana every morning. But what he didn't realize was that size came with a hidden cost. Over time, that extra sugar consumed daily was pushing his blood sugar higher, creating silent inflammation in his blood vessels, weakening his body from the inside out. Here's a better way to think about it. Choose smaller, medium-sized bananas, the kind that fits naturally in your hand without stretching your fingers, not the ones that look oversized or unnaturally plump. Even better, if you have access to baby bananas or local varieties, they tend to be more nutrient-dense and less sugar-heavy. They also haven't been as aggressively modified for shelf life and appearance. And here's something else to consider. If you're tracking your sugar intake or watching your blood pressure, don't treat bananas like a free food. They're healthy, yes, but they're not zero risk. Portion matters. Size matters. Especially at this stage in life, when your body isn't as forgiving as it once was. Jack eventually made the switch. He started cutting his bananas in half. Sometimes he'd save the other half for later. Sometimes he'd share it with Carol. It wasn't about eating less, it was about eating smarter. And the result? His blood sugar became more stable. He felt less bloated after breakfast. His doctor noticed the difference within a few weeks. So ask yourself, the next time you pick up a banana, do you need the biggest one, or just the right one? Because sometimes less really is more, especially when it comes to protecting your heart and your brain. Coming up next is mistake number 5, and this one may be the most overlooked of all. It has nothing to do with sugar, ripeness, or size, but everything to do with what you don't eat alongside your banana. Most seniors get this part wrong, and it quietly steals away the benefits you're working so hard to gain. Let's talk about that right after this. Mistake 5. Eating bananas without the nutrients that help them work. Now, here's something almost no one talks about when it comes to bananas. It's not about eating too much. It's not about ripeness. It's not even about what you eat with the banana. It's about what you don't eat, what's missing from your plate entirely. You see, bananas are rich in potassium. That's one of the reasons they're considered good for your heart and may help reduce stroke risk. Potassium helps balance sodium in the body. It helps regulate fluid, support your muscles, and maintain steady blood pressure. But potassium doesn't work alone. Your body needs a team of nutrients to help absorb and use that potassium properly, like magnesium, vitamin D, and even certain amino acids. And if you're low in those, the potassium from your banana, it won't do much good. In fact, it might even backfire. Let me give you an example. Jack, like many seniors, was unknowingly low in magnesium. It wasn't something his doctor ever tested for, but without enough magnesium, the potassium in his daily banana wasn't getting into his cells efficiently. Instead of helping his blood pressure, it was floating around in his bloodstream, creating imbalance. That's not all. Many older adults are also low in vitamin D, which plays a key role in vascular health and inflammation control. Without it, even the healthiest foods lose part of their benefit. And here's the problem. Most people think they're eating healthy enough. But if your plate is missing leafy greens, seeds, nuts, or sources of healthy fat, your banana is operating without backup. So how do you fix it? Start by building a balanced environment around your banana. Think of the banana as a great player, but even the best player needs a strong team. Here are some ways to do that. Add a handful of pumpkin seeds or almonds to your breakfast. Great source of magnesium. Get some sunlight or talk to your doctor about vitamin D3 if your levels are low. Include a few servings of leafy greens like spinach or Swiss chard throughout your week. Don't skip your protein. Eggs, lentils, or Greek yogurt help support the potassium-magnesium balance. Remember, it's never just about one food. It's about how that food fits into the bigger picture of your diet. Jack didn't know this. Neither did Carol. They thought a banana was enough. But once they added magnesium-rich foods, focused on full meals, and got back into the rhythm of eating real, whole ingredients, the difference was clear. Jack had more energy. His heartbeat steadied. He didn't feel dizzy in the mornings anymore. So don't make the mistake of treating a banana like a magic pill. It's not. It's a piece of the puzzle, and you have to give your body the rest of the tools it needs to make it work. Now, you've made it this far, and that means something. You've learned 5 critical mistakes that millions of people make with one of the world's most beloved fruits, and you now know how to avoid each one. But before we finish, there's one more thing I want to leave you with. Because eating a banana the right way doesn't just prevent stroke. It could help protect your balance, your memory, and your ability to stay independent as you age. Let me show you how to do that, step by step, in the final part of this video. Final part. How to eat bananas the right way after 60. Let's bring it all together. Bananas are not the enemy. In fact, for older adults, they can be a powerful ally when used wisely. They support your heart. They calm your blood pressure. They nourish your brain. But only if you avoid the 5 mistakes we talked about today. So here's how to eat bananas the smart way, especially after 60. First, don't eat them on an empty stomach. Always pair them with a little protein or fat, like almond butter, plain Greek yogurt, or even a few nuts. This slows the sugar spike and gives your body a steady source of energy. Second, watch the ripeness. Choose bananas that are yellow with minimal brown spots. If they're too soft and sweet, eat only half, or pair them with a high-fiber food to balance them out. Third, avoid sugary combinations. No milkshakes, puddings, or sugary smoothies. You don't need the extra glucose crashing into your bloodstream. Use water or unsweetened almond milk if you're blending. Fourth, stick with moderate sizes. Skip the oversized bananas. The smaller ones often have more concentrated nutrition and less sugar. And finally, give the banana some support. Add magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, seeds, and legumes to your weekly meals. Make sure your vitamin D levels are up. The banana is a helper, not a cure. When you do it right, something amazing happens. You start to feel lighter in the mornings, more steady when you walk. Your heart rate becomes more regular. Your memory feels clearer. And more importantly, you feel in control. Because every choice you make, every small shift in what you eat, can mean the difference between struggling in silence or aging with strength, balance, and independence. Now, I have one last thing to ask you. If you made it to this point in the video, you are already different. You're not like most people who scroll past. You want to take care of yourself or someone you love. So don't stop here. Tap the subscribe button now. Because next week's video, it reveals 3 common breakfast foods that silently increase stroke risk in seniors. And chances are, one of them is in your kitchen right now. And if you don't subscribe, you might miss it. You've come too far to miss the next step. Take control, stay informed, and keep your health in your hands. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.